The music for this hymn, which is a Charles Wesley hymn, Ye Servants of God, Your Master Proclaim, was originally a German folk song. And it appeared as a hymn in a Catholic songbook in the middle of the 18th century. Let me play you the folk song, 1765. Then Sir Sidney Nicholson, back in the 1920s, harmonized this folk song, slowed it down, gave it some Anglican chords and an Anglican tempo and an Anglican key, and here we have. I'm sure you all know that one. Which brings up a larger question as to how melodies can change over time through the generations and have a completely different spiritual and aesthetic effect from folk tune to hymn. For instance, the Passion Chorale, O Sacred Head Sore Wounded, was originally a love song, O Munich, I Must Leave Thee. And then became fascinating how these things change. Here's one. Here's a 18th century British drinking song from the Anacreontic Society. To Anacreon in heaven, where he sat in full glee. A few sons of harmony sent a petition. Let me play a little bit of that for you. To Anacreon in heaven, where he sat in full glee. Boys, fiddle and flute, no longer be mute. Well, you don't have to stand up because technically this is not our national anthem. But you see what happened. They took that nice drinking song and turned it into something that was quite different. So, very difficult to sing. You know, one time when I was studying, I was a French major in college, and I was living in France for a few months, and in the middle of the night, around 2 a.m., I was awakened by a bunch of inebriated Frenchmen singing, Aux enfants de la patrie. Well, I thought to myself, gee, that's interesting that Frenchmen sing their national anthem just for fun. Well, I've never heard a bunch of drunken Americans burst into the Star-Spangled Banner in the middle of the night, but something different about these different tunes. So anyway, there's a folk tune that became a hymn. Silent Night. The music for Silent Night was composed by Franz Gruber. It appears that the St. Nicholas Church in Oberndorf, Austria, on Christmas Eve in 1818, had no organ playing. The organ was broken. So the organist composed a song to be sung with guitar accompaniment, with only 3 simple chords. The tune immediately became known all over Europe, but the name of the composer was not attached to it. Nobody knew who wrote it. Emperor Wilhelm Friedrich commissioned a committee to search for information, and they found out that it was from Franz Gruber. The original score is lost, but Gruber himself arranged it later for 2 treble voices and guitar. With its simple thirds and sixths, in the tradition of the pastoral Christmas style. From time immemorial, part of the Christmas story has been shepherds in the fields, and shepherds have pipes that they pipe. This is the pastoral symphony, a little bit from Handel's Messiah. The original music for Stille Nacht, I just love the way the German language has that word for still night. Stille, stille. What a wonderful sound. It's onomatopoetic, isn't it? So we have well, no, it's not. It's gotten all fancified, but it was so simple at the beginning. I'll play the original, what we have from Franz Gruber in a minute. But there's a story about Christmas in World War I. And that is Christmas Day in 1914. It was cold and frosty on the Western Front in Europe. And we have chronicles written by some of the soldiers that were there. Here's one of them. At the first light of dawn on Christmas Day, some of the German soldiers emerged from their trenches and approached our Allied lines across no man's land, calling out, "Merry Christmas!" in our native tongue. At first, we were suspicious that it was a trick, but we saw the Germans unarmed. And so we went out and shook hands. Then it tells how the men exchanged presents, cigarettes and plum puddings, and they sang carols. And there was even a documented case of soldiers on the opposing sides playing a game of soccer. So that's a wonderful Christmas story from World War I, and carols sung in different languages. This was not an official truce, but it was fairly widespread. But it was only 5 months after the war had begun. So here is the original Gruber, light and lilting. Guitar and 2 treble voices. Imagine a chorus of children singing it. And may I be the first to wish you a very Merry Christmas.